She's in the Kentucky women's prison now, almost a year after a former Owensboro child care worker was arrested for downloading child porn.
Sarah Cox was arrested last fall during a Kentucky State Police effort targeting child exploitation. Well, since that arrest, Kayla Moody has spent months poring over documents, researching the case and Cox's past.
Well, tonight we share details you haven't seen or heard before. Kayla has this Eyewitness News special report.
Her case stuck out from the very beginning. Members in law enforcement call Sarah Cox a one-percenter, with a paper trail of documents stretching across international time zones, revealing a disturbing, twisted past. November 2012, Sarah Cox, an Owensboro nanny and child care worker, is arrested. She's charged with more than 1,000 counts of child pornography. Her arrest sends shockwaves through the tri-state.
Just knowing that someone like that lives right across the street from me is extremely disturbing.
In May, Cox is allowed to leave jail under strict conditions. She quickly violates those conditions and a warrant is issued for her arrest. She and her girlfriend are found more than 1,000 miles away in a Denver, Colorado women's shelter. Cox is eventually taken into custody by Davis County authorities. Days before trial, Cox agrees to a plea deal, taking 18 years to avoid the maximum prison sentence of 20. In a handwritten letter, Cox petitions the judge for probation. She apologizes for running to Colorado, calling it a moment of panic.
She has demonstrated that she will not follow the orders of court.
But the damage is already done. The judge shows no mercy.
The sheriff of Davis County will deliver you to the Department of Corrections to continue service of your sentence.
Cox is shipped off to the state pen, but her story doesn't stop there. To understand it, you have to go back to the beginning. August 2009, near London, England. Sarah Cox enters a civil partnership with her lover, Charlotte Haydock. The following year, Charlotte is impregnated through artificial insemination, and in December, the couple welcomes a baby boy. But British documents obtained by Eyewitness News reveal Charlotte rushed the baby to the hospital just 1 month after he was born. Charlotte tells doctors Cox was changing the baby's diaper when she heard a click. Records show the child was irritable and not moving his leg. An X-ray of the infant paints a troubling picture of abuse. Records show doctors discovered bruising on the baby's forearms and multiple fractures in his left leg and ribs. Both parents are arrested on suspicion of causing grievous bodily harm. Local authorities launch an investigation. Authorities zero in on Cox. They believe she alone is responsible. Cox tells them she didn't intentionally hurt her son, but investigators don't believe her. During court proceedings, Cox leaves the country, returning to her hometown of Owensboro, Kentucky. She never goes back.
Is this where Sarah Cox worked at one time?
July 2011. Now back in the States, Cox works her way into childcare. With few people aware of the child abuse allegations in England, Cox is able to work as a private nanny and daycare worker in the Owensboro area.
She was here for a very short period of time.
One of her employers is Kitty College.
We're wanting to talk to you just to see, for one, if a criminal background check was done. But
we do criminal background checks for every staff member that is hired.
The daycare director will not give a definitive answer as to whether a background check was done on Cox. Inspection records from the Kentucky Cabinet of Health and Family Services show the daycare has been cited on more than one occasion for not doing employee background checks. While it remains unknown if Cox got a background check, investigators say it wouldn't have mattered. She had no criminal history in the United States. Nearly a year after returning to America, Cox gives birth to a boy in Davis County. But social services takes the infant from her custody because of alleged physical abuse inflicted by Cox. Shortly after her baby is taken, Kentucky State Police start investigating Cox after her IP address is tied to a child pornography investigation. Law enforcement was shocked to discover a female behind the crimes. Cox is what they call a 1%er.
It's typically 99% male and 1% female. And that's when we realized, we have a 1%er out here in Owensboro.
Former Detective Jason Pagan was assigned to the case. He immediately started looking into Cox's background. Ironically, she was taking a law enforcement class at a community college.
Sometimes they try to learn the law to hide from it.
But the most disturbing moment was when authorities learned the woman accused of child exploitation was someone entrusted by many to care for their children. Detectives immediately stepped up their game, made an arrest, and issued a desperate plea to parents.
If anybody had contact with Ms. Cox, whether she was babysitting or was she somewhat of a caregiver, nanny, whatever it may be, to a family, we need pictures.
We want to make sure that while she was working there, she wasn't actually producing any child pornography at the same time, because she had pretty much unlimited access to the children.
We didn't really think that she was in the production business. However, you really don't know until you rule things out.
No evidence was ever found to suggest Cox produced child pornography. After her first court appearance, Cox's mother, Michelle, said her daughter was sexually abused when she was young.
It goes a lot deeper than what people know.
She believed her daughter was searching for images of herself.
Based on what we found on her computer, that is not possible. That would require her looking for young females. Everything that was on her computer was prepubescent little boys.
In October, Cox was sentenced to 18 years in prison. She'll spend the rest of her life on the sex offender registry.
She is one of the more cold and calculating people I've run across. She had no remorse for what she did.
After a brief stint working in child exploitation, Pagan returned to the streets.
Having images pop up in my mind just randomly, and it just wasn't going to work for me.
The explicit imagery of infants, toddlers, and young children performing sex acts was too much to handle, day in and day out.
When you're looking at thousands and thousands of videos every day and having to decide whether or not, is this a minor, yes, no, then you have to watch them being, sexually abused, raped in the videos.
The 1%ers stumped investigators. Concealed allegations of abuse left some feeling disgusted and some feeling deceived.
I really think it goes to hit home to say you can't trust anybody.
We reached out to Sarah Cox to hear her side of the story, but she refused to talk to us. She's currently in Kentucky State Women's Penitentiary near Louisville.
Now, Kayla, most working parents have to go look for a nanny or a daycare provider. How do you know who you're dealing with?
Well, that is a very good question. I think that as parents, you just have to be inquisitive. You have to ask those questions. If you're taking them to a daycare, you have to ask, does every employee here have a background check? And even after that, what's the extent of those criminal background checks? Because as we saw in that story, it wouldn't have mattered because we don't share records internationally.
Right.
So it's very troubling, and you just really have to do your due diligence in finding out what each individual's process is.
Excellent report.
But the fact that U.S. background does count on a criminal background check.
Yes.
But the fact that this, her initial problem was going on in London, so there was just no way the way the system is set up right now.
Yes, that is correct.
But look on every website, figure it all out, do what you can.
Exactly, and one thing that people often don't realize is that inspection records, they are public. So while many parents probably did not know that that daycare had in fact been in violation of those things multiple times, they could have very easily accessed that within 5 minutes on the internet.
When it comes to your kids, that's time well spent.
All right.